Hello. Okay, so it's me today, and I kind of am really excited about what we're going to talk about today. And it's sort of this revisitation on the second episode that we ever did, which was about spirit guides. And so one of the things that we always do is we see sort of this like resurgency of topics sometimes, and it just really seems to be true that that means it's in the energy. People are going through stuff, people are having a hard time. And I had about 2 weeks where out of nowhere, every single person I talked to was asking me about the guides or asking about how they work or what their function is. And so we do have the episode 2 about it, but I got a couple of cool messages this morning when I had this with one of my students, Miss Ariel. So I wanted to just hop on and kind of get that knocked out from a quick, like down and dirty episode. And then I've just been so happy and so excited about how, I posted those 3 readings, and it just seems that a lot of people were, maybe didn't even know what readings looked like or how they went. And now they have that. And then also just being sweet with me and supportive of the stuff that has kind of been coming out with that. So I've been thrilled and I've been so grateful. And I just don't think any of this could be done without the guides, period. And so first things first is I'm kind of just going to run through the way I describe them to people. And I would say it kind of like this. It seems to be true that it's a little bit of a round table in the sense that there's no head of the table, and that these energies are there to represent themselves fully from the expression of, if you have a Machiavellian strategist on your team, he is going to represent the vibration of that, the selfishness that goes with that, the cutthroat, the analytics, the intuition and intelligence. But we recognize that that individual is maybe not representing what we should live life like. Then you might have a nurturing mother, and that energy might be kind of everything you recoil from. Overly sweet, very caring, very compassionate. So you might not really even get to know her for a long time, because even to get close to her energy, you're not prepared to. That doesn't mean she's not with you on your team. And maybe you'd be a lot worse, like way, 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 way more disconnected from softness, sweet things, if she wasn't on your team. But because she is, and because she's at the table, that's her benefit to you. That's her guideship of you. So please understand, they are being filled with energies that are there to aid us, that represent something we need help with, that we lack. If you have a deep strategist, maybe that means that you have trouble coming to a decision, and it's there to help you be more decisive. It's there to help you see the bigger picture. Or maybe you're about to go into a high profile job that will require a new version of you, and they're there to help you upgrade into that. And so I wish that people would understand they are there to provide us a version of insight that we are not. And that's kind of very fundamentally true about spirit guides. Spirit guides come in and they start to stand next to us in energy. And I say that metaphorically, but they bind to us, they protect us, and they're with us. But they are filling in the holes. They're filling in what we are not strong with. They're filling in where we might feel challenged. For instance, if you have always been sure of your own mind, and then you just get a crazy toxic work environment, and now as a result of that, you're not sure if you're intelligent anymore. You have been completely sold a story that you're bad at what you do, and that's just that. Well, then, like, my goodness, how does one come back from that? If you already have a guide system that they've done all they can already, the entire time that you're at the job, when you were being told, oh, you're horrible at this, they were there guiding you to either A, depart, so they began to start the process of your exit, or they were there to buffer that from getting into your psychology too deeply so that you were able to continue to remain secure with who you are, even though you're in a circumstance that was degrading that security. Maybe they're just there to help you. Maybe they understand that, hey, you have to go deal with this. This is on your timeline. This is the only thing that's going to make you decide once and for all you are enough and you're strong. So maybe they were silent for the entire experience. And so if you need to know exactly why they do what they do, that's tall order, especially when most of us don't even know why we do what we do. So, I understand why I understand why is so wanted, the answer to why. And it's because we associate so much meaning into the why as a way to prove if it was just or unjust, if it was worth happening or not happening. But why is a post event or pre event designation. Why are you about to go do something? Why did it happen? You definitely need to know why you're doing something to begin with. That would be healthy. You don't always have to know why something occurred for it to still benefit you. But it's like what we attach to because we associate information with security. So I get it. I'm not above it, and I'm not overly closer to mastering my desire to understand the why, but I definitely recognize that that is a human desire, not a spirit desire, and that it is a function of our disconnection with spirit, because there is always a why. So far that I've seen with big ticket items, there's a why. And sometimes the why just gets chalked up to everyone has free will, and this was a convergence of that. But it starts to become, if there's no real satisfactory answer that can predate big decisions, then I have to move on. And so one of the ways that I would move on with the nature of spirit guides is I would say, what are you here helping me with? Which I guess that's why are you here? But it also allows you to understand what about you that's already true, that has nothing to do with anything outside of you, that is being worked on. Because they're going to tell you exactly what they're actively working on, which means there's a chance that you guys could work on it together. But regardless, no matter what, they're going to work on it for you. And that's why they're divine. That's why they're so beautiful. That's why they're so selfless in a lot of ways, because there isn't a benefit other than the benefit of the collective, which I guess they do belong to. But there is no benefit except that when they heal others, they heal themselves. When they help us in our human condition, in our frightful condition, in our fearful condition. And they allow us to understand that it is okay, that it will be handled one way or the other, with the attempt at it being handled to your highest good, then that's a faith system I can get behind without overthinking. But just understand, you have your guides, and your highest outcome may have very little to do with my guides and my highest outcome. And that's why we always each have a team. That's why in a boxing match, we've all trained forever. We all know how to punch, but we each get a team in our corner to allow us to see what we didn't see. And they're our teachers too. So, it's not like we don't have availability to that information. We do. But when we're right in the middle of the fight, we forget all of it. It's much harder to see. We're in our body so much to survive. It's a lot harder to hear spirit or to even give them any credit or credence. But we still get them. So then what gives, if you and I are in a boxing match and we each have a team, who wins? It's a fair fight. No one's doing anything wrong. There's no villain here. We each have a team. We're each battling for what we want, selfishly. Because I'm not doing charity. If I want something from the universe, I am willing to pay for it in my blood, sweat, and tears, and joys and excitements that I might have to give up. But I'm unwilling to cheat for it. So let's meet fair to fair and let's figure it out. Well, if we each have divine guides, someone's got to win. And if it's not about us, let's argue that our advantage can only come from our guide system. Let's say that physically and intellectually in all ways, we're equal. So what makes one team better than the other, or what makes any of that? I love my student. We were talking about hierarchy, and, my mentor, she said one time, I was asking about spirit animals, and I was saying, well, do they hang out together in spirit together? Or like if there's a rabbit, if it knows that the wolf will eat it, do they just not spend time together? And she kind of laughed and she said, it's a very human experience and human condition that a wolf would have to eat a rabbit. Like that's about this place that doesn't really exist otherwise. And so that's what I said to my student, is I said, there's no hierarchy with what they do or their nature of it. But when we try to perceive it, I want to know which spirit team's going to win. I'm just, I'm me. That's the curiosity I have. So then this is what they said about that. They said it has to do simply with your timeline and your ability to hear them. So then what that means is, what do you mean timeline? Like if we're fighting fair, the fair one should win. And we're like, no, it's not like that. We all have seasons, and we have our seasons to expand and to win at what we want. And we have seasons that we will decrease and that we will lose at what we want. And it has very little to do with deservability, has very little to do with anything other than that is a truth of existence. So then the Hermetic teachings, the ones, you think green tablets of thought, any of that belief pattern, the as within, so without, as above, so below, what they're referencing in the third, I think it's the third one of the green tablet, is they're saying all energies are tides. So what they're saying is you can want and righteously deserve and have all reasons point to Rome that says you should get it. But if you plan out the acquisition of it in a season that which you are not supposed to be the receiver of success, that will get caught up in the wrong tide. So they believe it's our responsibility to understand more about our personal seasons, our personal tides, so that we don't accidentally plot into existence an item that will get swept out with the tide because you don't want it to. So you keep it on land until the tide's coming in, and then you put it in the water. That is what the guides can try and help us intuitively understand. But it looks a lot like this. Imagine you're trying to start a business and you need it now, and you've chosen that business has tethers to your ego. So now, as long as you don't have that business in operation and accuracy and all in the world to see, you must not be anything. That's what you feel. You keep feeling it and you can't shake it, which becomes almost an existential need. It's really hard to beat ourselves out of something that we feel is an existential need. But the guides might start delaying it because they recognize that they can't get you to give up this belief system about it. And they can't heal all of your self-esteem issues in the here and now, all right now in the here and now. They can't do it without you anyway. They can't heal that for you. They have to just bring it into focus that you need to work on it and then aid you in your own healing. But but they can go out and forward in time and start to delay you. And so then what they might realize is you end this period of unfortune, lack of fortune, whatever you want to call it, lack of locomotion, the slowdown. You exit that situation in December. So they've got to get you bogged down from now until December in the hope that they guide you to be able to initiate and set sail to that idea at a perfect time when the tide's coming back in. But then between now and December, that human being is going to feel abandoned by their guides, who's going to feel left lonely, who's going to potentially develop frustration and anger at the fact that there does seem to be delays and that all the things that we've all said out loud and felt. And we don't realize that the human condition is what is requiring it from the here and now. And Spirit is saying, no, we actually care about the success of your creation, not about how you need it in the here and now right now. We are trying to give you the highest beneficial outcome. Please work with us. Please hear us. So that is also true for what would maybe make you not win and say, I always go back to this for some reason, but two people who want to rent out the same space. Who wins? And the guides might be sitting there making sure you don't turn your work in time, making sure that you're kind of off the cue of it all, because they're trying to make sure that it's not about this fight. They know that. The other team knows that as well. But no, that you're the only one who doesn't know. Let's try to get you out of the situation to make that choice. Because if you're there to make the choice, you're going to make the wrong one. And that's kind of the real probably frustration of what guides deal with. It's not, they're talking all the time. They're adjusting all the time. They're working on our behalf all the time. But then what we want changes real fast. Or we start trying to go off on a weird beaten path, and the path that we agreed on with our soul is way over here. The other thing that they at least mentioned is I was trying to figure out a way to say it best to my student. And the first thing I said was this, which I used to play video games and I like them. As a result of liking the video games, we were talking about karma and we were talking about actions and how the guides need us to take more action. And there were a couple reasons why. They were saying that in order for anything to log on your karma, it has to be done in the physical world. Just like I can sit here and think about murdering someone, but until I physically do it, it doesn't log. So it's like a video game where, say you beat a final boss, but then you don't save it. I can say I trust the universe, but then I don't go out and prove it. So it doesn't log. And if I'm not doing anything that logs on karma, the guides are not allowed to bring forward the next part. So that then is why they fine-tuned it into Scrabble. And they said, we have to play the hand we're dealt so that we get to see the next letters. But what we can't do is stare at the board and imagine that we're going to become smarter, or that we're going to develop a consonant instead of a vowel, or we're just going to be able to overthink a different board, a different life situation, or a different hand, a different options of action. And we can't manipulate to make sure that the person sitting in front of us puts out a word that then we can play with using the hand we have. We have to take that risk. Even if you lose, quote unquote, lose the game, but you'll never know what your next letters are going to be until you play these hands. Clearing the energy. Take action. If you're terrified to date, you won't, and you believe that you're petrified of it, you still have to take action, even petrified, for there to be movement, energetic movement, for this other next aspect of life in that topic to come forward. And I think that's a big deal to understand, because it seems safe. Let's just hold on to our hand. At least we're not going to lose the hand. We already know what words we can kind of make out of it, but we can't seem to place it just perfectly. But I can do a subpar word right now, get some of this off my plate, know what I have, and take inventory of what's new. The guides are basically saying every time you take action, it's like you're clearing your hand, and they get to repopulate your hand. So they're like, they'd rather you take a bunch of actions because they can start to fine tune the next hand that you get. And it'll look like you falling on your face, but it's still so much activity that's shuffling the energy that they can now start to do more. They can make sure you have an S. Then you rumble your own energy and rumble the energy of your existence and your feathers. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. It threw the dust up, out of the dust. Now I can get an N. And now I can actually get that O that you were wanting. And it's not the word that you wanted from before, but it's better. And I needed you to go shake up the board and use your hands up so that I could go get out of the universe what I needed for you. That is a big aspect of action and reaction with the guides that they wish was a little bit more known. In that second episode, we went deeply into the Gatekeeper and the Protector guide. So I'm not going to go more fully into that, but I will just say with the Gatekeeper, that is, while I would not add hierarchy to value of good or bad, better or worse, I will say at least the Gatekeeper has the majority of your paperwork. So that's the guide that is sort of not representing a overly staunch perspective. Like, it's not like the guide of yours that's only ever going to show up as a 14-year-old boy who cracks fart jokes and is just silly. That's still a guide. And they're still significantly better at lifing than we are. Period. But that it's something about that energy understands what you need from it. Is this like a reverent teenage boy? So that's all you'll ever see. And that's all you'll ever interact with. Doesn't make it less than, it means that that's its business with you. So then the Gatekeeper guide, think about them as the guide that has been with you several lifetimes at least, and has all of your paperwork from how those last times went, what your negative patternings look like, what you're at the highest risk of coming to. So in a lot of ways, his or her opinion about you and your actions do have some superseding energy, because maybe some of the other team, it's not their job or their business to have that paperwork on you. And it's not because they're less than, maybe they just don't want it. Like in any group or any council, there's always going to be the one who loves going back and organizing all the paperwork. And it's not me. I'm the ideas chick. I'm the ideas chick and the morale chick. Like, I like people laughing, I like people having fun, and I like big ideas, and I have enough to flesh them out. But I need someone who's going to stay organized, who's going to say, hey, You're getting real ideas oriented and you've kind of not done much on the last two. We're gonna have to reel that back. We all need that. That would be what I feel is true is that is more that energy. It's more subdued in big opinions. It's more always going to be kind of asking you what you think, trying to guide you over to it. Whereas other guides might be like, it's this way and this is what you should feel because they're representing that energy. They're not supposed to be nuanced in a way that supersedes what they're showing you. So an example to me would be if I see somebody in their entire team seems very youthful, it would show me two things. There's a potential that this energy has severe trauma around authority and or this energy is very, very serious and their big struggles are that they're too serious and they're too adult and all these things. And so that means that they have called to them a guide system that cannot trigger the authority issues or cannot allow them to receive guidance in a funny, more fun, less intense way, less goofy way, because it will benefit them. They'll hear it better, da da da. Or also they'll just be reminded that it doesn't have to be so serious. So then if I saw a very eclectic, well-rounded team, I say well-rounded, I mean almost disconnected in their nature to each other, I would understand that either this energy put a lot on their plate for this lifetime, or this energy is particularly unbound in this lifetime, or that this energy is going to be of service to a lot of people. Because that's the only real reason that an energy would need or benefit from having a team that has diametrically opposed energies. It's just more dynamic. It's more evolved, or not evolved, but it's more, it has the opportunity to offer more insight, potentially. I want to see if they want to say anything more about that. Okay. So that's kind of the majority of what I want to say about this. The greater, more in-depth version of any conversations surrounding this are really, truly going to be in that second episode where Terry and I kind of go through the process of talking about them. But if you do have any questions, just leave it on this video because I am going to come back and address this probably in about a month because I want to see what, now that I've kind of put the calling card out there for, hey, what are the curiosities about guides in general? I want to kind of get a framework of what people are wondering about it. And then I will have a follow-up video that responds to all that I've received as far as curiosities. So I hope everyone's doing great. I love you guys. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for walking this path with Terry. We've got a lot of really fun stuff coming up, specifically about retreats. I can't say more, but we are going to be working towards doing some spiritual retreats. So take care, y'all. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, I get so awkward at goodbyes. Goodbye.